Welcome to this segment of Because You Asked. I'm Barry Nussbaum. A few days ago, the Democratic National Committee met in Atlanta, Georgia. Their purpose was to elect the new DNC chair. This person effectively becomes the leader and the face of the Democratic Party nationwide. It is an incredibly important role. After lots of campaigning, at the last minute, Tom Perez was elected chairman and Keith Ellison was appointed the vice chairman. Today's question on Because You Asked, the new DNC vice chairman is Keith Ellison. Who is he and what does he stand for? Let's take a look at the statements of Keith Ellison, his past writings, and his past associations so we can clearly establish what this guy thinks. Then you can make your own decisions based on the facts, not what certain members of the press are telling you in an attempt to sanitize his horrible and prejudicial background. 1. Let's start with Ellison's infamous theory about 9/11, the attacks that killed thousands of Americans. In a speech that you can listen to on YouTube, Ellison proclaims that 9/11 was an inside job similar to the Reichstag fire. Yes, the fire that the Nazis orchestrated in Germany to complete their takeover of their country and install Hitler as the absolute dictator. Ellison believes that 9/11 was set up by and carried out by our government against our own people to allow for Bush, president at the time, to consolidate his power and complete his control of the country, just as Hitler did in 1933. In that same speech, you will hear someone in the audience yelling out that the Jews benefited from the 9/11 attacks, and Ellison responds, "Oh yeah, maybe." 2. Ellison was a spokesperson for the Nation of Islam and its leader, Louis Farrakhan. Now, not only does Farrakhan not keep his anti-Semitic views a secret, he proudly proclaims it in nearly every public speech he has made hundreds of times over a number of decades. In other words, there's nobody on the planet Earth that doesn't know that Louis Farrakhan is a horrible anti-Semite and that one of his main principles in all of his speeches is hatred of Jews. Keith Ellison was a spokesman for Farrakhan and his group. Later, while running for Congress, Ellison said he was not aware of Farrakhan's anti-Semitism. Really? He's lying. 3. Not only was Keith Ellison a spokesperson for the Nation of Islam, he was an actual member of the group. During that time, he took the name Keith X Ellison. Look it up and research the Nation of Islam. They hate America. They hate American values. They hate white people. They hate Christians. And they hate the Jews the most. 4. While attending law school at the University of Minnesota, he encountered a fellow student who was female and Jewish. Ellison told her, quote, "I can have no respect for you based on your religion because you're a Jew, and I have no respect for you as a woman because as a woman you should be home raising children, not becoming a lawyer." Unquote from Keith Ellison. 5. While serving in Congress during the Gaza rocket attacks on Israel, Ellison voted against emergency funding for the Iron Dome missile defense system because he felt that if Israel didn't have a way to protect its citizens in their homes and their schools from mass rocket attacks flying out of Gaza, they would be more inclined to make a peace deal with Hamas. In other words, he literally believes that mass death of civilian populations in southern Israel is good for the peace process. And he has probably proclaimed that during his many visits to Gaza, he never saw any presence of Hamas. Not only is this untrue, it's impossible. Hamas is a brutal, terroristic Islamic dictatorship that runs the Gaza Strip with an iron fist, and its presence is ubiquitous. 6. Ellison's writings while a student at the University of Minnesota Law School under the name Keith Hakeem raised attention when he first announced his congressional run in 2006. In those writings, Ellison refers respectfully to Minister Louis Farrakhan. He defends the Nation of Islam spokesman Khalid Abdul Muhammad and speaks in the voice of the Nation of Islam's advocate. As Hakim, he demands reparations for slavery and throws in a demand for an optional separate homeland country for American blacks. Get this, basically, they get their own country in the southern portion of the United States. And keep in mind, this guy is now a United States congressman. And in case you don't know about Khalid Muhammad, in 1993, Khalid Muhammad gave a speech at King College in New Jersey, in which Muhammad refers to Jews as bloodsuckers. He labeled the Pope a no-good cracker and advocated for the mass murder of any and all white South Africans who would not leave their nation subsequent to a warning period of 24 hours. He used the book of John in the Bible as an excuse to defend his hatred of the so-called white Jews, saying that they crucified Jesus because he revealed them to be liars, and Jews' father being the devil. The United States Senate voted 97-0 to censor Muhammad, and the United States House of Representatives in a special session passed a House resolution condemning him. 7. Keith Ellison has taken money from and continues to associate with members of various groups associated with the Muslim Brotherhood and the Holy Land Foundation. Both are radical organizations with extensive terrorist ties. America, have you heard enough yet? There's lots more in the record about this congressman. And if it were not for heavy campaigning at the last minute for the eventual winner on the second ballot, Tom Perez, the former very liberal member of President Obama's cabinet, Keith Ellison would now be the chair of the DNC. However, as soon as the balloting was announced, with Perez as the winner, his first act on the stage was to proclaim Keith Ellison as the vice chair. Oh boy. The party is moving radical and way out of the mainstream, and very sadly, a congressman with an anti-Semitic background is the second in command of the entire party. So, now you know. Tell your Democratic friends who is running, or at least second in command running, their party. Please keep your questions coming to American Truth Project and our social media on Facebook or Twitter. If we select your question, you get a special gift. We're here to answer your urgent questions because you asked, America. I'm Barry Nussbaum.